Hi everyone, I just want to share this piece of news here from the Manchester Evening News. John McDonnell tells the Manchester Evening News he would split up number 11 and send a 250 billion chunk of it towards Labour will break up the Treasury and move a huge part of it north in a radical bid to tackle inequality. And you know, this is fantastic news. It's like, wow. Because we really need this, because Britain has been living according to this antiquated thing about, mainly serving London City and what's best for London City is best for Britain, when actually it isn't. It just isn't. London City's been getting fatter and fatter and fatter, and the rest of us have just been getting more and more destitute. So this National Transformation Fund, it's absolutely brilliant. We're going to devolve number 11, we're going to locate this in the north. If we're going to address regional inequalities, the NTF is one of the big vehicles for doing that. Large amounts of that money will go to the north, so therefore the best thing to do is to put the administrators in the north, and this would account for a huge part of the Treasury. Adding we're going to break up number 11. Part of number 11 is going to the north, devolved, split. It is fantastic. This is the kind of stuff we need, because we just need to break out of this, like I say, antiquated nonsense that's taking us nowhere but round in circles, ever decreasing circles of a criminal history and a criminal cover-up of a multitude of crimes. We need to move away from it. We need to progress. What's the point of having all this technology if it isn't serving us, if it isn't making life, enhancing life, not enslaving us and meaning that more of us can be thrown on a scrap heap to live in destitution or doomed to working in, factory prisons or what have you, that they have planned for us, because that's their mentality. There's no dynamism there, because there's no life, because they're not connected to reality. They're not in touch with the real life reality that they profit from and sail above and can commit as many crimes as they like and never really being held accountable, never having to face the consequences, the full consequences of their actions. And that's why, we've got to just let this go, this dead, antiquated monster that's been literally on life support, sucking our lifeblood to keep this brain-dead body of antiquated consciousness alive in its antiquated criminal structures of power. It's all got to end, and not in a spirit of hatred and vindication, vindictiveness, but in a spirit of amnesty and forgiveness and challenge, legal challenge, in a spirit of law. Because, in some cases, certain criminals do actually need to face prosecution because they are a danger to themselves and others. But I think overall a spirit of amnesty, a spirit of determination to really progress in the fulfilling of the ambitions of our ancestors, the people who suffered through two world wars, who suffered centuries of oppression, and to the people who have equally, the people beyond the British Isles, who have suffered equally centuries of oppression in order to maintain the same criminal structures and powers that continue to govern Britain and actually a lot of the world to this very day. They're antiquated ideologies. You know, they're still going on about it. Oh, there's too many. They've been going on about there's too many people for centuries. Go back, look through history. You'll see it. Time and again, oh, there's too many people. Going on about, you know, the genetics. How poor people are genetically inferior. And yet, as I've stated before, look at the very epitome of their power, nuclear power. What does it do? It destroys human DNA. It damages it. These people who claim to be there, you know, looking after our genetic future, wanting to create a super race. Look what they've done. Look what they have created. The epitome of their power is based on an energy that actually destroys and damages our DNA and the DNA of our children's. That's why we can't trust them, because they are mad, and the madness is a madness of itself, and it can only make sense to itself, and it can only sell itself to us through packs of lies. And we need to empower Labour now, Corbyn, because Britain is a key nation, and what happens here does have a ripple impact throughout the world. And we need to save our planet, and we need a rise of consciousness. As I say, in a spirit of love. You know, this fascism stuff has been rising in a spirit of hate, a spirit of ignorance, a spirit of false information, misinformation, disinformation, a spirit of oppression. So, you know, the only way to combat it, the only successful way, is for us to rise in a spirit of compassion, a spirit of hope, a spirit of joy, of actually giving something. Because, you know, a lot of the people that are attracted into these fascist rhetorics right now, they are actually victims of the very criminals who are espousing now the fascist rhetoric. You know, convincing them that, no, the source of your problems, the source of your inner angst and unhappiness, despair, anger, is actually Muslims or Jews or socialists. When actually, no, it's the people that are telling you that are the source of the angst and the anger. Because they profit precisely through those divisions, and they impose those divisions, and they maintain them exactly by feeding into the resulting dissatisfaction and the petty jealousies and paranoias that all come along with oppression and misery, and turn the human mind to looking negatively and seeking scapegoats. The scapegoats. And we've all been scapegoats for far too long. We have all been bamboozled. A whole generation conned. And in many ways, it has been like taking candy from a baby, taking everything away from us that our granddaddies and grandmummies worked so hard and sacrificed so much for to give to us. Far more than huge bank accounts and mansions. We were left a legacy of rights. It's far more valuable. A legacy of understanding, a legacy of progression. And they wish to take it all from us. So how can we move forward now unless we vote for change? Vote Corbyn. And, you know, I am getting very annoyed with all these people telling me, you know, if you live in a Tory constituency, then, you know, you do need to tactically vote for the Lib Dems. And I'm like, no, I am never going to vote for people who've stood by these Tory criminals. They've murdered people with their policies. Knowingly they have murdered and harmed people with their economic policies. I am never ever going to vote for anybody that has stood by and voted with these people in favour of those policies that have murdered my fellow citizens. I'm not going to vote for them. I don't care. You see, I'm not going to listen to the polls told to me by a corporate media that I don't really trust. And during a general election managed by a criminal government. No. Everybody, vote Corbyn, vote change, because it is time. And like I say, if we do wish to leave the EU, now is not the time to do it while we're in the middle of austerity. Literally broken. It's not the time, is it? Get ourselves on our feet. The only way we're going to do that is through Labour. They managed it after the war. We can do it again, because we've been through a war. This has been a war. Since Thatcher, we've been under attack. It's time to remove them, and they've took that little bit of rope too far, haven't they? They grew too arrogant, just that, too arrogant, on their ego trips. And it's time for us to righteously stand up and say, sorry, no. Our planet is far too precious in this universe. Our children are far too precious. The life of Earth is far too precious for us to entrust to you, gamblers and squanderers and rapists and murderers and thieves and perjurers. We cannot do it. We need to take responsibility, and Britain is a leading nation. And it is beholden on us now to force these criminal powers to account in terms of, look, you've got all this money, you are going to sort out the damages, you're going to cough up the money needed to clean our planet. People are going to be paid living wages. We are going to move forward into the future with a brand new plan, based on brand new knowledge and new information about who we are and what is our purpose on this planet. To cherish all life and to enjoy in harmony the splendour of this amazing, magnificent universe. Our rights to live with dignity and in joy.